Now we will talk about filters. Okay, so for that I will create a different pivot table. So let me just go ahead and create one more table with a slightly different structure. I will create it. Give it some other name. Filter and slicer options is what I'm giving as the name to that member. So let's say my chart is like this. I have data for different territories, and under each territory, I'm looking at various products being sold. Okay, this is the structure. I have the territory. Under that, I have the products being sold, and I'm looking at, suppose, the sales information. Okay, this is my data, and this is my table. Now, by default, you can see that this icon comes. This is basically a filter icon. This is basically a filter icon. Okay, and we can go and choose whatever territory or product we might want. If I select territory, means I'm essentially getting the list of territories. And when I uncheck something, east, south, okay, you can see now how it's showing me data only for west. Okay, it's showing me data only for west. If I include south, both of them. If I include west, the east, that also comes. So we can do filtering from here. Now, if I go to product level, then it will show me the list of products, and whichever product I might want to see, I will keep it. Whichever product might not be required, I can simply deselect it and remove it. Okay, this is how filters will work. Now, slicer is also a way of putting the filter itself, but it's slightly more visual. Okay, rather than going here to this arrow mark, then having to choose a field first, and then having to choose the members down here. A slicer, you can say, is simply a visual filter. Slicer is a visual filter, is what you can tell. Let me try one thing. I'll just cut this and paste it here, just so I can put my slicers on the right side of my data. Okay. How do we put a slicer? This is my pivot table. When I click inside the pivot table, we have the pivot table analyze ribbon, right? And here you can see in this group, there is something called as insert slicer. So when I click on insert slicer button, it will show me the list of fields which I might want to see as a slicer. I want to see product. Okay, I would like to see product. So I'm selecting the product checkbox and I will click on OK. So this is what the slicer will look like. Okay, and when you use a slicer, what happens is another contextual ribbon will come related to the slicer. A contextual ribbon will come, and you can decide, how you might want to present, how you would want to design it, and all those things. So the height, the width, all these also you can increase. So you see, let me slightly increase the height of the members over there, of the entire slicer itself. You can even do it by dragging. Okay, it's not like you have to go there. You can go to the border of the slicer and drag it. You can increase it in width, decrease it in width. Okay, all these can be done. Now, within that, so there are two height and width fields, as you can see, right? The overall height and the overall width of the slicer. The last two options are for the overall width and height, meaning like this, overall it increases like this. And the one before it, this height and this width, is basically within the slicer. How do we want to present it? Each block, because this it looks really small, right? The names, they're not very prominently visible. So you can also go ahead and adjust it like that. Okay, so I'm happy with this size. I don't want to do anything else over here. Okay, so this is what you can do with respect to the height and width. Now, right now, all of them are selected. Everything is active. So if I uncheck the product, or if I select this, okay, so right now I selected only one. If I select latte, You can see how amaretto got deselected. Latte is the one selected and we are seeing the data for it. If I select mocha, it will show me only that, cafe, mocha. If I select Darjeeling, you can see what's happening. So it's a more interactive way of filtering your data. Now, how can we allow multiple select? All we need to do is go and click on this multi-select icon. And when I click on multi-select icon, it will now allow me to select multiple values. And whatever conditions I have applied, by clicking on this funnel with a cross mark, we can clear it. So when I clear the filter, basically it will show me everything. It shows me everything like that. Okay. So that is the purpose of a slicer. Now in this chart, I have product and I have territory. What if I might want to have a filter on product type? It would not be possible. The pivot table is built using territory and product as the fields. But if I want to filter on something else, maybe on product type or product line or state or something else, it wouldn't be possible. But we don't have such limitation with the slicer. Okay, I can go ahead and insert a slicer again. Okay, I will insert a slicer again, this time on product type. Though the field has not been used in the graph, I can still have product type in here. So this is another slicer that I brought in. I will keep it over here and move this a little bit, adjust them, and maybe use the same color so they look consistent. And within that, I want to increase the size. Okay, so size of each member in the slicer I have increased by going to the height option up here on the slicer contextual ribbon which comes up. Okay, so what should happen? See, if we know our data, generally when you begin analyzing any data for any project, right, you must understand your data first. Okay, what do I mean by that? See, any data visualization project or any data analytics project given to you, there are 4 things that we need to understand. First is we need to understand the requirement, and I'm sure all of you will agree with me. Okay, if you don't understand the requirement, then there is no point proceeding further. You need to get a thorough understanding of what is expected over there. And as important as understanding the requirement is, it is also very important to understand the data that we are working with. And most people don't give it as much importance. That is wrong. If you do not understand your data, if you're not familiar with your data, if you're not comfortable with your data, it will not be possible to come up with an optimum solution to the question at hand. Understanding the data is as important as understanding the requirement. So first thing you need to do is spend some time understanding the data. What is it that we are working with? What is the relationship between the fields? Is there any relationship? If yes, then what is it? What is the data type of each of these fields? What are they containing? Okay, get familiar with it. Then you will understand that there is product type, and under each product type, there are different products being sold. Right? There is that kind of a hierarchy in the data over here. Okay, we have different product types. Under each product type, there are certain products being sold.